Welcome to another episode of the APL show. Incredible guests the world over with incredible insights, incredible experiences, and they're often giving service to others, so they're often incredible teachers. Today, specifically so, we have a faculty mentor, PhD candidates, students at the International University for Professional Studies in Madrid. And we have TINA LINDHARD with us, who's just a super seasoned spiritual veteran. She's been studying the heart, consciousness, awareness, and more for a very long time. She's just back from India. She has a lot to share with us. I can't wait. Tina, great to see you again. Great to have you on the program for the first time.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me. Just incidentally, the university is in Hawaii, so it's a university without walls, so I can do it. I can perform my role from anywhere in the world.
I love it. And you used to be in Hawaii, so you were doing it there as well.
Yeah, I have been to Hawaii, but mainly with this university, I've been working online. I got my PhD there and then continued teaching. Mm.
I love it. Okay, where do you want to start? You just got back from a spectacular trip in India, and you and I spoke just before you left. We had a lot of fun then. What do you want to share with us?
Um, I think whenever you go to India, and especially if you're in an ashram and with a highly developed soul, you have the most amazing insights all the time. Your spiritual growth goes way up. And it was, on the one hand, it's very quiet, but on the other hand, it's very deep and it's very inspiring inside. And I think another thing I'd like to share is that on his ashram, he started two schools. Um, One is the Gurukula, which was the ancient way of training youngsters of about 12 who want to seek for God. So you have these um, really incredible little boys. Uh, Last year there was only six, and now they're 22, and they also play the role of the priests in the temples. But on the other hand, they're still such little boys. One day I went down to the cows, and one of them, who took me up to about my waist, said to me, did I want to give some food to the cows? So I said, yes. So he proceeded to pick up a machete of this size and bang, he went on the pumpkins. And then I had all these pieces. But I said he was so small and this machete was so big. And I had to laugh. And then another day I went down and I was going down. There's two temples to Sri Arka Ganapati on the ashram, and this little kid came running up to me and says, "Don't come, don't come. There are bees outside the temple." And with that, these youngsters proceeded to light a fire and send the bees away. But they live such a charmed life because they're on the farm. There's a lot of cows. Um, they run around barefoot. They've got to learn Sanskrit. They start the day chanting Sanskrit. And then they do attend ordinary school because there's also another school in the center. Um, so from barefoot, they suddenly put on shoes and appear at school. And um, I think it's marvelous that, and then I said they have to learn Sanskrit and the chanting of the Sanskrit. And I think it's a tremendous training for youngsters, especially when you think how youngsters undisciplined they are in the West, um, and how most people can't even add up 2 plus 3 without a calculator. But these kids have to remember vast sections of the Vedas by heart,
Hmm.
and they do it beautifully.
Tina,
So
we're going to come right back to India. Let's give folks a reminder first. Who's the guru, not the guru, but the teacher, the spiritual teacher in India who has the ashram set up that you attended? And then we're going to go into your background. Who is that teacher again?
his name is Srinivas Arka, and Arka means sun or sort of life in Sanskrit. But it's his real name. He comes from a family of yogis, so he considers himself more of a yogi and philosopher, um, and an inspirer. Um, so basically, he lives more in a suitcase than anywhere else, and he travels the world, inspiring others to search inside. Because he never says that he's special. He always says we're all special, but he really encourages us to do the inner journey. Mm.
Lovely. Okay, tell us about your background. At what age did you, and tell us where you grew up first. What age did you become aware of the broader world? Were you always connected to nature? How did this go down for you? Or was it in your teens or your 20s? A lot of people put up the good fight. Even a few of us make it to our 40s.
Okay, no, I was brought up in South Africa. I was brought up on a little farm with cows and horses and peacocks, and um, I I was always connected to nature. Um, there was no fear for children at that age. So my sisters and I could run around, and we miraculously appear when food was served at the table. But nobody would worry about what we were doing. The biggest danger were the snakes, but no there was no thought that other humans could harm a child. And also in South Africa, the black population loved children. And I can remember going to the farm next door and sitting at the feet of the elderly who were smoking a pipe round a, a tin can where they'd make their mealie meal. And I could feel the tremendous peace they that came from them. And I think that was my first awareness of this tremendous peace that people can uh, that radiate from certain people and not from others.
And in a little bit, we're going to talk about that. What people can embody more love, showing love always. Good luck with that. Some thinking will kick in or knowledge that precludes possibility, but welcome to meeting mankind at another level, societal level. Tell us a little bit more. Where did you do some studies, and when did you actively start reading about or taking classes or something on the spirituality front?
Okay, my I live between South Africa and I've also got Danish nationality. I went back to Denmark. I went back to university there, and then I came back to South Africa, and I was studying psychology, and my field was different states of consciousness. So I was interested in drugs, dreams, death, and meditation. And I was just starting my master's when I suddenly realized, how could I even ask somebody a question about a state of consciousness if I hadn't experienced it myself? I wouldn't know what to ask. So I left university, and that's when I tried to teach myself to meditate, without really any success. Um, and also because of the political situation in South Africa, I left South Africa, and it was only well, years later, when I actually met uh, Srinivas Arka, that I had a tremendous experience. And I then knew that um, I knew that the most incredible state of consciousness existed. And but I'd been introduced to him by a Swami, and then the Swami said, no, I had to find my way back there by myself, which I've spent most of the last 27 years doing.
And I'm going to ask you about that experience, but could you spell the last few words in his name for the curious members of the audience who want to look him up?
Okay. Well, his name's Srinivas, Srinivas, and his surname is Arka, Arka.
Perfect. Okay, tell us about that first time. Was it a friend who dragged you along? You just knew a flyer blew in the wind and hit you here. You looked and you're like, I'm free this afternoon. How did you get hooked?
No, no, it didn't happen like that. I'd I'd had um I had multiple miscarriages, and the medical profession had given me certain drugs that sent me completely uh, into states of consciousness that weren't the most savory.
Hmm.
And I either had to declare myself totally insane or I wanted to find out what had happened. And I chose the latter. And I'd read the Tibetan book of living and dying, and I realized that they were describing some of the states, the Bardo states. So I said to my husband, I'm going to England because they were offering a course. Um, and I thought, well, maybe I learn a little bit about more what happened to me. And I went to England, and I was it was with Sergel Rinpoche, and they gave us a picture of Patmos and Barbara to meditate on. And every time I meditated, a figure appeared, a male figure. Yeah, it was dark and he had fairly long hair, and he was shouting at me. And Circle Rinpoche left, and the senior people said, no, 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 this is the movement of your mind. It doesn't mean anything. But after what I'd been through, I'd begun to trust my intuition. And a friend of mine came who'd helped me quite a lot. And I could describe this person screaming at me. And she said it's probably Muktananda because Muktananda used to scream at his pupils to wake up. So, okay, Muktananda is screaming at me. And between the course on meditation and the course that I wanted to attend, which was on death and dying, we could no longer stay in the shrine room. And I was invited by two people to stay with them. And I chose one. And I, in her house as well, every time I meditated, this figure appeared. And so I shared it with her, and she said, oh, I know that person. So I said, interesting, because somebody says it's Muktananda, and now you say you know it. And she said, well, phone him up. So she phones him up, and she said, and she put me on the phone, and I said, look, my friend says that it's you, but every time I meditate, um, there's this figure that appears, and my one friend says it's Muktananda, and now this friend says it's you. And he says, well, what your friend doesn't know is I'm a Swami and I lived with Muktananda, and you've got to come to my house straight away. So I thought, well, nothing could get more bizarre than what the type of things that had happened to me when I was given actually Prozac after by the medical profession. So off we went. And now this is what I really don't know is true or not, but I promise you I saw it. We were sitting waiting outside this flat, and the whole of London filled with colored balloons. Um, take it or leave it, but that's what I saw. So then the Swami arrived and he looked at me and he said, "You've come to London to meet somebody who's coming to my flat tonight." And he did look like the person, he looked like Muktananda and he looked like, they both looked the same. So I said, "No, no, I'm come to London to do this course on death and dying." And he said, "No, no, 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 come with me." So he took me to his shrine room and he put on a video and I looked at it and I said, "You're quite right. I've come to see this person." And then he proceeded, and this was really strange. He proceeded me to take me to lots of health food shops and give me a large amount of um, different protein drinks, all vegetarian. And it was kind of strange. I say, said, "I'm coming to London to see this person, and now I'm being fattened up. And I didn't realize then that he was trying to raise my vibration. Um, but in any case, we got back to the flat, and um, people started arriving, some in saris, some Westerners, and um, I was sitting there meditating, and suddenly I felt this breeze come in, and this figure sat down in the front of the room, and I started going into a trance. Um, and I don't want to share all of it, but I had the most amazing experience one can ever have. And then this figure said, "You can come and talk to me," he said to everybody. And somebody came up to me and said, "Go and talk to him." And I said, "If he does this to me from this distance, I'm not going closer." So the Swami was behind me and he tapped me on the shoulder and he said, "Tina, that's ego." And I crawled across the floor and I sat in front of him and we exchanged some words. And I saw him once. I didn't go to the other course. I saw him once again while I was in London. And when I came back, I wrote to him and I said, "I'd like you to come to Madrid because I'd like my friends to have this experience as well." And 2 years later, he came to Madrid.
Mm.
So it gave me a surety of the spiritual path, which has given me a persistence, the capacity to really persevere, you know, um, to delve deeper and deeper. Mm.
Mm. Talk to us a little bit about the heart.
Well, meditation methods can be mentally based or they can be heart based. The oldest heart based method is known as prayer of the heart. It was practiced by the Desert Fathers. It was adopted then by the Orthodox Church. It was practiced by the ancient Persians, the Egyptians, um, and also in India, the search for the Atman, the soul. Uh, but it's not very well known in science. The Russian scientist who lives in America, Lochakova, has done most of the research on prayer of the heart, and it's considered quite a difficult method. Um, Srinivas Arka has also developed a heart-based method um, called Arka Dhyana or intuitive meditation. It's also based on touch, sound, and breath. So it's a very easy way to guide the mind to where you want to go because he was the first person to use touch in a meditation method. So it's slightly easier in than prayer of the heart, but it's certainly the both of them overlap tremendously. It also, as I said, in the Akadhyana method, you use touch, sound, and breath. and the sound is a vibratory sound that you direct wherever you've got your hands when you're meditating. It's also He's also got a theory called the six main levels of consciousness. So below the mind, we have the feeling heart mind, which is feeling based. Now, as a scientist, this is incredibly difficult to convey because most of it's, um, once we get into words and explanation, we go up into the thinking mind. But the heart is about feeling, it's about intuition, it's about tapping in. And I always say in my articles, if to describe a strawberry is challenging, imagine describing inner experiences to somebody who has never experienced a strawberry. So most neuroscientists think that consciousness is a product of the brain. Um, but I also studied embryology with somebody called Jaap van der Wal, um, who was inspired by Steiner. And he gives the most amazing course on our embryological development. And because I also am a craniosacral therapist, so you've got to know how the body develops. But we know the heart develops first. So for everybody to put this only attention on the brain is kind of weird. Does it mean that the embryo was not conscious at all before the brain developed? Then what directed this incredibly intricate development of an embryo, of us? You know, um, it just doesn't make sense. It's so there was nothing there, and yet this growth that's taking place is the most amazing growth you could possibly imagine. um if a flower flowering is a miracle, but the production of a body um from after fertilization is awe-inspiring.
Hmm. We're going to keep coming back to this theme, and we're going to start juxtaposing it, like between thinking and awareness, or love and unlove, or whatever you want to call it. But before we get to that, or let's get to that, what's the difference between thinking and awareness? Thinking and awareness. I'll give one answer, but I'd like to get you talking again. And we're going to keep coming back at this. We'll say stuck and unstuck. What's the
Okay.
difference between thinking and awareness?
Well, awareness is for me a part of consciousness. So it's like a flashlight. So you can put your flashlight on um, anything outside, but you can also turn your flashlight inside, and you can start um, investigating the nature of your own consciousness. So it is part of consciousness, but it's the tool which you'll use to examine um, your consciousness. And that's a riddle because we are conscious, but we are consciousness.
Talk to us about one of those moments that the universe stepped in. It was a dream, a stranger with sparkly eyes, you turned around and they were gone, or something else that you still maybe can't explain, but you don't need to.
Oh, I've had a very active dream life. Um, and I think dreams have um, guided me, especially when I've been lost. Um, and I remember um, going down into a trapdoor and going down into a tunnel, um, which you can say is reminiscent of the birth channel. But I think at that point in my time, it was showing that I just had to change my patterns. And I'd, although I was interested in consciousness, and I was interested in meditation, this is before I met Arka, we play with it. We don't take it seriously. But when I got the scream, I had also the realization of various of my thought patterns, and I realized now I had to change. I had to um, go a different way if I wanted to take. I wouldn't have said that at the time, but to take the best advantage of this human birth that we've got. Um, we're not here to mess around. At least that's the way I see it now. It's the most incredible opportunity we have to raise our conscious awareness. And often Western society, one gets stuck in more material or pursuits, or I don't think that was particularly my case, but in living a way that's just not going to raise your frequency.
Perhaps it could be time to blow a little sage your way in the Madrid area from Texas in the good old US of A. If
Oh,
anyone's new to this, we try to do this on every show. Once in a while, I forget. And then there's a handful of guests that maybe it's just not appropriate. We want everybody to be comfortable here. We've done this before. It's some sage. And
mm,
why settle for linear? The sage is amazing. I think it's California sage, Juniper Ridge. Find it at all the Whole Foods. Used to be $2 a bundle back in 2012. I think it's closer to $12 now. You can get it on Amazon as well, Juniper Ridge. I'm not sponsored, but I should be. Okay, give yourself permission to smell it. Some people start tasting it as you just see the light, but you don't have to taste it. You can just smell it, enjoy it. But why settle for sage? You can have flowers come in, catch that Indian flower. While it's cold in Madrid now, you just left t-shirt and shorts weather. Catch some flowers from India so India doesn't miss you too much. And you can even catch ocean, or if you have a personal request, do it at home. Time to put a comment down, and an emoji counts as a comment. Share, subscribe, like. It's really the only way people get to find out about the show, where guests often do some interaction with the universe, figures from India, Native American chiefs, and of course, angels. The show is named after angels. Tina, what are you getting in Spain right now?
oh, it took me actually to India, um, because I was I planted some plants at the ashram, and there's a very special plant that goes at the entrance of temples. Um, I've forgotten the name, but I've got it written down. And it looks like a jasmine, but it's not. It actually on a bush, but it's white like a jasmine. It's got the most exquisite smell. And when you were doing that, well, that what filled me. With a beautiful memory. And curiously, before I just planted the plant, when you go to a puja, the Panjit will always give a, a prasad. And I'd received this little white flower a couple of days before. I didn't even know it existed, but I smelt it and it was beautiful. And then when I stayed with my friends in Bangalore, they gave me this plant that they wanted me to plant at the temple, and sure enough, it was the same plant.
Aw. Okay, I'm going to put up one angel for you, Joy, and she's going to tie right in with all your research, all your experience, all the fun, all the depth of your spiritual path. She's an angel named Joy. If anybody at home is worried about this, look, angels exist. Trust that it's so. Your answers, hugs, and much more will come. Just get out of your own way. What are you hearing and feeling from Joy? Ask for the whole kit and caboodle. What
All
do you?
right. I mean, when you show that, there's a tremendous expansion around the heart area. So it's an angel of of love. Um, and it's also an angel of um, Ananda, joy. Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. There was something else I was going to do, and I've been forgetting about half the things I tee up, but that's okay. I'm going to show my light. You don't have to show yours. You're just going to see some gold, some yellow, some whatever between my fingers, like out of the movie Celestine Prophecy. But as one guest who was around in the 1970s as a healer said, hey, we were doing it this way back in the 70s before the movie was made. And in India, some folks do it this way, although when I stand, it's a little awkward to do it this way. I like doing it this way. Blue sky is the number one background, but construction paper works just as well. More importantly, you get a dad joke that you have not heard. Bert and Ernie, Sesame Street, it's coming. Because if you're laughing, you're truly letting go. And it's your heart that does all the seeing, and all the cool stuff that ever happens in life is when you're here. So the only thing is, once you see my light, you're only going to have to say a few colors that you're seeing. Ask for the big enchilada. Ask for a lot from your favorite India figures, your favorite angels. Let them jack it up a little so you're getting either flowers. People have gotten a running buffalo. Two people got phoenixes. Others get geometric this, geometric that, a Sanskrit symbol, vortices. You're going to get what you're going to get, and you're going to share it. But more importantly, two dad jokes now. Bert and Ernie, Sesame Street. Bert offers Ernie ice cream. What's Ernie say? He says, Sherbert. Exactly. And then one more. Santa's reindeer, Blitzen, Dancer, just those two. No one has to keep it sorted out. But why do Blitzen and Dancer drink so much coffee? Because they're Santa's Starbucks. And then here's a little bit of light for you. I was doing some gardening, so if there's dirt on my hands, apologies. Just catch a little filament of light. Tina, what are you seeing in Madrid?
There's a green ball in between your fingers when you.
Ooh, beautiful. And now go big, go home. You're already home, so let's go big. Ask for everybody to pile on and do extra. You might get fireworks, little sparkles, sparks, more green. What are you getting now?
Yeah, certainly more green.
I didn't do it. Don't blame angels, but don't blame Canada either. And I'll come back. I am going to stick up one more figure because green for me has a deep meaning. There's a Mac. Don't color Mackenzie. Everything plants, animals, and nature, and she's an angel, and she's wunderbar, wonderful. Here's
Mm-hmm.
Mac. Here's something profound for yourself. Don't share it out loud. That's just for you. Say, got it. But get something for us all after that that you can share.
Okay.
And what did you get for us all? Don't share what you got that was private to you. What are you getting?
Well, you know, green is an amazing color for healing. Um, and it's the halfway stop between the lower chakras and the higher chakras. So it's got to do with the heart. I just always say if people could at least get to the heart level, the whole society would change. There are not too many people who really want to go all the way to the higher states of consciousness. But if we could only just, um, if people would only get to the heart level, they'd realize that's where the joy is. Yes. Mm.
Perhaps we'll do one more little thing. It'll just be green and pink here, Joy and Mac. If you wouldn't mind, just hear from them, you've got this. But out of this, somehow you're going to help everybody else do this. I'm going to explain what it is in just a second. But here you've got this. Pull in all the India figures that are like a loving cheerleader squad, a lot more angels. But if you want to cup your hands off camera, like you just captured a butterfly, ask all the angel light, all the
I,
in the world to come in. You're going to feel it in your hands. So heads up, it's going to be a lot of love. When you hear ready or you can't handle it anymore, open it up and see what you got. You'll see, physically see light in a symbol, a shape. Again, running animals, a flower. If it's a bird, a butterfly, or a hummingbird, let it fly around a little. But ask for a lot of love to come in. But out of this all is going to be a great item from you, Tina, to the rest of the audience on how just to allow and everything else falls into place. Does that sound like a plan?
Okay.
Okay. And we've never done it this way ever, this quickly in the show, once in a blue moon at the end. So if you don't mind, have a lot of light come in. I'm being very bold here, apologies. But have a lot of light come in when it feels big. Open it up, see what you got. But out of it all, you'll have some good inspiration for us all. And you may already start seeing it with your mind's eye, but don't cheat.
Um, what came to me was the most beautiful little hummingbird who was emerald green, and with those, when it catches the light, there's purple and also slightly turquoise. Yeah.
Aw. Okay, but somehow in that beauty, by the way, and thank you for doing that. That's incredible. But in that all, can you give us a little ray of sunshine, a ray of hope, a reminding people, remember to remember if you can remember when you remember. Good luck with remembering. But I think Songye Rinpoche used to say that stuff all the time.
What I'd like to do is just guide people into their heart, you know, and as with part of the Akadhyana method, we use a little gesture to bring the mind, inviting the mind to come on a journey. And anybody watching this can also do it. And just invite the mind to come and slowly lower your hand, watching the gesture with your closed eyes. And when you get to the center of one's upper chest, is when one launches an intention. And everybody can launch the intention what they like. But if you really want a spiritual experience, it's to discover and connect to your deeper essence or soul. And just be in that space, allowing anything to come up. Because also, when you can connect with your essence, you can get guidance in your life. Most people are dependent on other people telling them what to do. But until we can really connect, we're like a boat bobbing in the sea, not knowing which direction to take. So, and we can all regain our connection to our essence, and we can all discover the true nature of our soul. And one can all of us can discover the great joy when we can open our hearts, because as little children, we were in heart consciousness. We lost it, but we can get it back.
I love it. And I had fun with the exercise. I jumped out of it before you opened your eyes. But when you watch the replay, you'll see I was there with you. I'm going to put up Ganesh. If you don't mind getting a quick, just you'll hear something. If you could relay it, that's for all of us. And I'm assuming I'm going to find him this week on my phone. Too many photos. Here we go. And if you wish to catch a little bit of light around you in the room as you do this, fantastic, or at least an incense smell from India, from a temple dedicated to Ganesh. What are you getting as a reminder for us all?
Well, just behind me, I've got Ganesha from one of the temples at the ashram. You know, Ganesh is um, such an important figure in Indian spirituality. It's also a cosmic entity, and it's also the entity that resides in the base of our spine. So it's known for taking away obstacles on on our journey, but particularly our spiritual journey. So when you can connect with Ganesh and when you're shown a picture like that, um, it's immediately an awakening experience.
No photo for this one. The Divine Mother, if you wish to leave your eyes open or closed, either
Yeah.
works. But folks at home can just take some deep breaths. Just think of her as big and lots of love, but you'll do a much better job on the way out of experiencing her, explaining her for us. But anything you receive that you want to share, fantastic. If you could bring the Divine Mother in and just allow, that'd be great. And I'm going to blow, whether you can hear it through the microphone or not. Catch a little Indian breeze, lots of love. Your favorite temple again, maybe those flowers, but maybe something extra, no bees. And I'm going to blow it, at least look like I'm blowing. Half the time it picks it up, half the time it doesn't. Here it goes. And if I can ask for a little Hawaii to come in, a little sea spritz on your nose, just as a reminder of your Hawaii days, but mostly India. Did you get a little Hawaii mixed with India, which is an unusual combo, but it does hopefully round the bases in American baseball, as they say. Okay, what happened? What did you get? Talk to us about the Divine Mother and mention India and Hawaii. Tina.
I I part of my articles are on women's consciousness, and some of the articles are on Paleolithic women who were matrifocal. Now, before the absolute was considered as male, it was because of our capacity to give birth, the the generator of the universe was seen as female, as mother. And there's a figure that figures in Indian spirituality, but is little known, is called Aditi. Um, and she's really headless, but she sits with her legs wide open, showing um, her her entrance to the uterus, because it was pointing to where life comes from. And I did a collage once with Aditi giving birth to all the universe. So before the patriarchal era and everything was changed, certainly the female, not only as goddess, but as mother, as the creator, as the giving birth to the universe was incredibly important. But so was woman, and so was woman's consciousness.
I'm going to put up Joseph Campbell. Joe is reconciled, unconditional love, absolutely fantastic. He'd love to chime in for 2 seconds because he always talked about what you just said. Um, Here's Joe. If you don't mind hearing something about the mythology of either India, elsewhere, what's he having to add to the conversation right now?
Um, I, tapping into his energy, I feel he brought uncertainty to the field. It's maybe because he turned things upside down a little bit. I don't know him, so I'm just reading the energy.
He shook things up because he connected all the cultures on the globe together.
Right. So, as I said, maybe that's what I'm picking up.
Oh, okay. So I'm gonna do the tiger that the Divine Mother rides on. Uh,
Yoga.
and the tiger that the Divine Mother rides on is on everyone's team. Pure action, delight, soft, furry, shampooed fur, like not wiry like the leopard. Absolutely gorgeous as tigers go. But here's a great painting.
Mm.
Have the tiger come in pretty firmly, and if you do want to put your hand up in the room, it could be off camera. Feel the tiger's fur. Everyone gets to do that. One woman from India got to feel it on her wrist, but most people feel it on the palm. And the
Oh,
tiger should come through like a lightning bolt, crystal clear.
mm-hmm.
What are you getting from the tiger?
But mainly for me on the fingertips. Yeah.
Does the tiger have a reminder for us?
Nobility, fearlessness, um, misunderstood. Um,
Don't be afraid of the fierceness.
yeah. Mm.
Hmm. What have you had to let go of in the last decade, 5 years, 2 years, that has opened doors for you and you leapt forward, even though it's 20 steps forward, 10 steps back, 2 steps forward, 20 steps back? Welcome to being human. What have you had to let go of that you don't mind sharing out loud?
Oh, I think the whole spiritual path is a continual dying and rebirth. You know, if you're not prepared to give up either your ideas um, or your understandings, you're too full to receive anything new. So one gets used to dying and rebirth. Um, and I think at the moment it's yes, I'm also restructuring my life. Um, so it'll mean a change from where I live, and and also giving up a lot of the furniture that I've carried around from South Africa, and I'm quite happy to do it.
As long as you don't give up chocolate. Okay,
That should be more difficult,
exactly. Now,
especially dark chocolate.
I have three angels for you. One's a teacher, Charlotte, blue ball light. You've met her. Oceanic, water energy, light waves of energy, and water, Min, Mother Hawaii, if you wish. But a Heather that I am dying to bring in because she makes hearts in her photos, but she's great for South Africans. She'll help bring the soil to you. She'll bring you South Africa. She comes across, if you see her in full on human form, as Amazonian or from an African village. Uh, yeah, uh, African woman, elegant as heck. It'll be either way, probably for you, African woman. But here's Charlotte. Get something private, get a beautiful hug. And then if you could share something that she's sharing with all of us that resonates with how you would already be speaking.
Yeah, she's savannah and openness,
Hmm.
and as you say, very elegant. But the traditional African always was, you know, with they'd go and collect water with a jug on their head, um, and the traditional African never has a back problem, not like Westerners, because they walk straight. You know, they've been accused of many things of exploiting the children, but they train the children young with very small things to carry, and it produces this tremendous, elegant way of walking.
Mm.
Um, so Africa and the savannah and going down to the riversides, remind me of the African woman.
And here's the oceanic figure Min, like Minnesota, Lakota Sioux word for water. Awala is a Polynesian morning glory, or Ua and La in Hawaiian. I think rain and sun or sun and rain. So water rainbow, water morning glory, but just call her Min, and she's very oceany, might be Mother Hawaii, just let that be. And catch a little bit of Hawaii coming in. What are you getting? What are you feeling? What can you share? But only share what you're comfortable sharing.
Yeah. I'm getting reflection in the water. Um, and I got the reflection that maybe it's not always a true reflection, can be slightly blurred, um, which gives us more of a puzzle to work out of what the message is.
And I'm going to put up Heather. Heather's the one that's got either the African roots or the Amazon. And Charlotte, I would argue that the savannah, that's where the action is. The true learning. It's not in the hut. It's in the savannah always. It's like what you said earlier in the show about thinking and everything else. You can think about walking your dog, but that's not walking your dog. And then the
No,
actual consciousness of it all is getting out into nature with your dog. Good luck
exactly.
with that and paying attention. Okay, here's Heather without too much more delay. She makes hearts in her photos. So I've got a lot of hearts. And
Amazing.
she's a lot of fun because even the word Heather is the word heart with a few extra letters rearranged.
Mhm.
I've seen her as a human a lot. I've seen her in Austin, Vegas, Maui as a Portuguese ballerina taking time off from life, Sweden, New York, and so on. Have her really come in full force. You should love her, but if you don't mind catching the soil from South Africa, I'll have to make it up since I haven't been there. But that red clay, that real richness that you can't get unless you're there, but have her bring it to you, saving you one trip. And she'll whisper some words. You can hear it in Afrikaans, but then get something you can share out loud.
Oh, when you put it up, a whole shiver went through my body, which was quite interesting.
And
Um,
yep.
I, the African earth, as you said, is can be quite red, but it took me to my birthplace, to Cape Town, and um, the Table Mountain, and this incredible carpet of clouds that come over it, and it's almost like a waterfall of clouds that you get in the early summertime, and of course it's it's got a lot of water in it, and that's how the indigenous plants live in South Africa, from this condensation. So yes, for me, the earth there is a reminder of this very archaic plants of South Africa, which are incredibly beautiful and you won't find in any other part of the world. Mm.
One final interactive exercise, although there might be one more later, but this is it. If you'll close your eyes and let her come in, full on African woman, tall, she'll do it her way. I'm going to blow a little again, whether you can hear it or not. It'll be an African wind this time, but let her bring in a lot of energy to you. One final like mantra, even though we're not in India, she'll give you something you can relay back, but get a private experience with your eyes closed. And here comes the blowing with a little extra. And anybody at home wants to get extra, turn up the volume on a 1970s stereo component receiver. Just breathe through your mouth a little, shoulders up and down. If you're a professional nose breather, do it through the nose. Here comes the wind. Catch what you can catch. What will you allow for daily is the rub for all of us. Forget spirituality for a moment. Good luck with remembering anything. And what do you
what I immediately my body reacts to whatever you're sending out, and it was very, very energetic. Um, so if one wanted to slightly to raise one's vibration, um, yeah, it'd be a good figure. Mm.
Yay. With that, we're going to have you back on anytime you'd like to come back on. This is for your formal show appearing middle of 2025. You're welcome to come back on and keep sharing and sharing and sharing. It'll be the APL Spotlight Series. People can keep a lookout for TINA LINDHARD. Meanwhile, what mantra did she give you, or has come in, or from your crew, or from an India figure? What is a really key reminder?
I um I like the Sri Akaman Mahaganapati Namaha as a reminder of taking the obstacles away on our spiritual pathway. Mm.
Tina, thank you very much for being on the show. It's a total delight to have you on. Thank you
Bless you,
so much.
and thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Bye bye.